Have you ever encountered someone who drains your energy, spreads negativity, or simply makes your life harder? We all know toxic people, but how do we deal with them without losing our own peace of mind? Today, we'll explore 15 smart ways to deal with toxic people, using timeless wisdom from Stoic philosophy. 1. Recognize what you can control. In Stoic philosophy, one of the fundamental ideas is the distinction between what is within our control and what is not. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most famous Stoic philosophers, often reminded himself that he could control his actions, thoughts, and responses, but he could not control the actions of others. This concept is crucial when dealing with toxic people. Why it's important? Toxic people thrive on creating chaos and manipulating your emotions. However, if you focus on what you can control, your thoughts, responses, and decisions, you won't be as affected by their negativity. Trying to change or control someone else's behavior is often futile and emotionally draining. By accepting this truth, you free yourself from the constant stress of trying to manage the uncontrollable. Actionable steps. Self-awareness. Start by acknowledging that you can't change the behavior of others. The only thing you have control over is your own response. Mindfulness. In moments when a toxic person is provoking you, pause and remind yourself, I can control how I react, but I can't control them. Focus on your values. Use this control to stay aligned with your core values. Don't let their negativity sway you from who you are or what you believe in. By focusing on your own actions, you reclaim your personal power and prevent toxic people from influencing your emotional state. 2. Practice emotional detachment. Emotional detachment isn't about becoming cold or indifferent, but about not letting external circumstances or people control your emotional well-being. The Stoics believed that external events, including the actions of toxic individuals, should not disturb your inner peace. They practiced mindfulness and emotional control, recognizing that their happiness and tranquility depended on their ability to remain emotionally grounded. Why it's important? Toxic people thrive on triggering emotional responses. When you react emotionally, you give them control over your state of mind. Emotional detachment allows you to protect your energy, maintain inner peace, and avoid being caught up in the negativity of others. Actionable steps. Pause before reacting. Whenever you feel provoked, take a deep breath and give yourself a moment to respond rather than react impulsively. Shift your perspective. View the toxic person's behavior as a reflection of them, not you. This helps you detach emotionally from their actions. Focus on your goals. Keep your long-term vision and personal peace in mind, so that temporary interactions with toxic people don't sway you from your purpose. 3. Use negative visualization. Negative visualization is a Stoic practice where you imagine the worst-case scenario in a situation to prepare your mind for potential challenges. By visualizing something negative happening, you remove the shock and emotional reaction when it occurs. When dealing with toxic people, this technique can be incredibly useful in managing your expectations and responses. Why it's important? When dealing with toxic individuals, the emotional impact of their behavior can catch you off guard. By anticipating the worst, whether it's an argument, an insult, or manipulation, you mentally prepare yourself for it. This practice helps you reduce anxiety, stay calm, and respond with resilience, instead of being caught off guard or emotionally triggered. Actionable steps. Imagine the worst. Before interacting with a toxic person, take a moment to imagine how the situation might unfold, what they might say or do that could affect you. Focus on your response. Visualize how you will maintain your composure and respond calmly, no matter what they say. Reframe the scenario. Use negative visualization not to worry, but to gain perspective. Recognizing that even the worst outcome is manageable helps you feel empowered. By practicing negative visualization, you are preparing yourself emotionally and mentally for toxicity, reducing its potential impact on your peace of mind. 4. Set boundaries like a Stoic. Stoicism emphasizes self-discipline, and one of the most important aspects of self-discipline is setting healthy boundaries. The Stoics understood the importance of protecting their own space, both mentally and emotionally. Boundaries are essential when dealing with toxic people, as they allow you to maintain control over your energy and protect your well-being. Why it's important? Toxic people often try to push limits and invade your emotional or personal space. Without clear boundaries, you can easily be overwhelmed, manipulated, or drained by their negativity. Setting boundaries is a way of saying, "I will not allow you to treat me in this way." It's an act of self-respect that ensures you remain in control of your emotional state. Actionable steps. Identify your limits. Recognize what behavior you will not tolerate from others, whether it's insults, disrespect, or manipulation. Communicate clearly. Politely but firmly express your boundaries to the toxic person. For example, "I don't appreciate being spoken to that way, and I'll need to step away if it continues." Enforce your boundaries. If they cross a line, follow through with your boundaries. If they continue to be toxic, limit your interactions or walk away from the situation. 5. Detach from external validation. One of the core principles of Stoicism is the idea that external events and other people's opinions should not dictate your sense of self-worth. Toxic people often try to manipulate or control your emotions by seeking to make you feel inferior, guilty, or wrong. By detaching from the need for validation from others, you strengthen your inner resilience and protect your peace. Why it's important. Toxic people can be skilled at projecting their negativity onto you, making you feel as if you're responsible for their behavior or reactions. If you rely on external validation for your self-worth, you'll become vulnerable to their criticism, manipulation, or judgment. Stoicism teaches that true value comes from within, not from the approval of others. Actionable steps. Know your value. Reflect on your strengths, virtues, and self-worth regularly, so you don't rely on others to define who you are. Let go of the need for approval. Recognize that toxic people will often try to manipulate your emotions. Don't internalize their judgments. Focus on your goals and principles. When faced with negativity, remind yourself that your worth is determined by your actions, integrity, and character, not by toxic opinions. By detaching from the need for external validation, you build a sense of inner peace and confidence that is immune to toxic influences. 6. Reflect on your own behavior. The Stoics often practice self-reflection to understand their own behavior and identify areas where they could improve. This self-awareness is key when dealing with toxic people because sometimes we unknowingly feed into negativity or react in ways that escalate conflicts. Reflecting on your own behavior helps you grow and avoid becoming part of the toxicity. Why it's important. Toxic people can often trigger your own insecurities or negative responses, and sometimes we unintentionally react in ways that make the situation worse. Reflecting on your own actions allows you to identify patterns in your behavior and change them to avoid feeding into the toxicity. This doesn't mean excusing the toxic person's behavior, but understanding your own role in the dynamic. Actionable steps. Practice regular self-reflection. Take time each day or week to reflect on your interactions, especially with toxic individuals. Ask yourself, did I react in a way that escalated the situation? Own your part. If you find that you've contributed to the problem, acknowledge it and make adjustments in the future. Seek growth. Use each encounter as an opportunity for personal growth. Even difficult situations can teach you valuable lessons about your own behavior and responses. 7. Choose your battles wisely. In Stoic philosophy, it's emphasized that you shouldn't waste your time or energy on things that don't align with your purpose or well-being. Toxic people often create conflict in an attempt to provoke you or drag you into drama. A key Stoic practice is knowing when to engage and when to step away, focusing only on what truly matters in the long run. Why it's important. Not every argument or confrontation is worth your energy. Engaging with a toxic person can drain your resources, distract you from your goals, and harm your peace of mind. The Stoics teach us that life is short and that we should conserve our energy for meaningful actions rather than petty disputes. By choosing your battles, you save your mental energy for what's most important. Actionable steps. Evaluate the importance. Before responding to a toxic person, ask yourself, is this situation worth my time and energy? Will it bring me closer to my goals or peace? Walk away when necessary. If the person is intent on provoking you, simply disengage. Sometimes silence or walking away is the best response. Focus on your priorities. Channel your energy into things that help you grow, maintain peace, or support your long-term goals. By choosing your battles wisely, you avoid unnecessary conflict, protect your mental health, and maintain focus on what matters most. 8. Accept people for who they are. Stoicism teaches us that the world is filled with people who have different temperaments, experiences, and values. Accepting people as they are, without trying to change them, helps you let go of frustration and disappointment. Toxic people may not be capable of treating you the way you expect, and it's essential to adjust your expectations accordingly. Why it's important? Toxic people often operate from a place of their own insecurities, misunderstandings, or emotional wounds. If you spend time trying to change them or expecting them to behave differently, you'll only increase your frustration and lose your peace. By accepting them for who they are, without attachment to how they treat you, you can reduce the emotional burden they impose. Actionable steps. Let go of expectations. Stop expecting toxic people to change or treat you in the way you think is fair. Understand that they are acting from their own limitations. Focus on your response, not their actions. Rather than focusing on their negativity, focus on how you can remain calm, assertive, and respectful in the situation. Practice empathy. Try to see things from their perspective. While this doesn't mean excusing poor behavior, it helps you understand why they act the way they do. 9. Use the power of silence. Silence is a powerful tool in Stoic philosophy. When faced with toxic people, sometimes saying nothing speaks louder than words. Toxic people often thrive on getting a reaction from others, but by remaining silent, you deny them the emotional response they're seeking. Silence can also give you time to reflect and regain your composure before responding. Why it's important? Engaging in a battle of words with a toxic person can escalate the situation, draining your energy and emotional resources. Silence, on the other hand, disarms them by showing that you're not affected by their provocations. It also prevents you from saying things you might later regret. The Stoics believed in controlling one's speech as a way to maintain composure and avoid unnecessary conflict. Actionable steps. Pause before speaking. If you're faced with a toxic comment or confrontation, take a moment of silence before responding. This gives you time to control your reaction. Don't feed the negativity. Avoid engaging in arguments or offering explanations to toxic people. By not reacting, you prevent them from getting the response they want. Use silence as a boundary. If the conversation becomes toxic or harmful, remain silent and walk away. This sends a clear message that you won't engage in negativity. By using the power of silence, you regain control over the situation, preserve your energy, and prevent toxic individuals from dragging you into their drama. 10. Focus on your own growth. A fundamental principle in Stoic philosophy is that we cannot control the actions of others, but we can always focus on our own personal growth. When dealing with toxic people, it's important to focus on how you can grow stronger and more resilient from these interactions. Instead of getting caught up in their negativity, turn the situation into an opportunity for self-improvement. Why it's important? Toxic people often try to drag you down to their level, but you have the power to rise above them. The Stoics taught that every challenge, no matter how difficult, is an opportunity to practice virtues such as patience, wisdom, and self-discipline. By focusing on your growth, you transform negative experiences into valuable lessons that contribute to your development as a person. Actionable steps. Reflect on the lessons. After each encounter with a toxic person, reflect on what you can learn from the situation. How can it help you grow? Practice virtues. Use these challenges as an opportunity to practice Stoic virtues, such as patience, temperance, and fortitude. Keep improving. Continue working on your personal growth, whether through meditation, reading, or self-reflection. The more you focus on bettering yourself, the less impact toxic people will have on your life. By focusing on your own growth, you maintain control over your development and strengthen your resilience, making it harder for toxic people to affect you in the long run. 9. Use the power of silence. Silence is a powerful tool in Stoic philosophy. When faced with toxic people, sometimes saying nothing speaks louder than words. Toxic people often thrive on getting a reaction from others, but by remaining silent, you deny them the emotional response they're seeking. Silence can also give you time to reflect and regain your composure before responding. Why it's important. Engaging in a battle of words with a toxic person can escalate the situation, draining your energy and emotional resources. Silence, on the other hand, disarms them by showing that you're not affected by their provocations. It also prevents you from saying things you might later regret. The Stoics believed in controlling one's speech as a way to maintain composure and avoid unnecessary conflict. Actionable steps. Pause before speaking. If you're faced with a toxic comment or confrontation, take a moment of silence before responding. This gives you time to control your reaction. Don't feed the negativity. Avoid engaging in arguments or offering explanations to toxic people. By not reacting, you prevent them from getting the response they want. Use silence as a boundary. If the conversation becomes toxic or harmful, remain silent and walk away. This sends a clear message that you won't engage in negativity. By using the power of silence, you regain control over the situation, preserve your energy, and prevent toxic individuals from dragging you into their drama. 10. Focus on your own growth. A fundamental principle in Stoic philosophy is that we cannot control the actions of others, but we can always focus on our own personal growth. When dealing with toxic people, it's important to focus on how you can grow stronger and more resilient from these interactions. Instead of getting caught up in their negativity, turn the situation into an opportunity for self-improvement. Why it's important. Toxic people often try to drag you down to their level, but you have the power to rise above them. The Stoics taught that every challenge, no matter how difficult, is an opportunity to practice virtues such as patience, wisdom, and self-discipline. By focusing on your growth, you transform negative experiences into valuable lessons that contribute to your development as a person. Actionable steps. Reflect on the lessons. After each encounter with a toxic person, reflect on what you can learn from the situation. How can it help you grow? Practice virtues. Use these challenges as an opportunity to practice Stoic virtues, such as patience, temperance, and fortitude. Keep improving. Continue working on your personal growth, whether through meditation, reading, or self-reflection. The more you focus on bettering yourself, the less impact toxic people will have on your life. By focusing on your own growth, you maintain control over your development and strengthen your resilience, making it harder for toxic people to affect you in the long run. 11. Cultivate inner peace through meditation. Stoicism emphasizes the importance of cultivating inner tranquility, and one of the best ways to achieve this is through regular meditation. By taking time to center yourself, you can develop a calm mind that is less easily shaken by the provocations of toxic people. Meditation helps you detach from emotional reactions and instead focus on maintaining your inner peace, no matter the external circumstances. Why it's important. Toxic people thrive on disturbing your peace, and if you aren't centered, it becomes easy for their negativity to affect you. Meditation trains your mind to remain calm and composed, making you less likely to react impulsively or emotionally. This inner peace acts as a shield, protecting you from being pulled into their toxicity. Actionable steps. Practice daily meditation. Even if it's only for 5 to 10 minutes a day, create a habit of sitting in stillness and focusing on your breath. Focus on mindfulness. Use mindfulness techniques to observe your thoughts and emotions without judgment. This helps you detach from them and stay in control of your responses. Visualize calmness. During your meditation sessions, visualize yourself facing a toxic person calmly and confidently, unshaken by their negativity. By cultivating inner peace through meditation, you build mental resilience, which will help you deal with toxic people in a more measured, composed way. 12. Practice forgiveness. Forgiveness is a powerful practice in Stoic philosophy. While toxic people may have hurt you or caused frustration, holding on to grudges only harms your own peace of mind. The Stoics believed that forgiveness is not about excusing someone else's behavior, but about freeing yourself from the emotional burden of resentment. By forgiving, you release the toxic person's hold on your mental state and maintain your emotional clarity. Why it's important. Toxic people can create emotional turmoil, and holding on to resentment only keeps you emotionally tied to them. Forgiveness allows you to break free from their influence, stop the cycle of negativity, and focus on your own well-being. It is an act of self-liberation that helps you preserve your peace and emotional energy. Actionable steps. Let go of grudges. Reflect on any resentment you may be holding toward toxic individuals and consciously choose to release it. Understand their behavior. Recognize that toxic people often act out of their own pain or insecurities, which may help you approach them with empathy rather than anger. Focus on your healing. Instead of allowing past wrongs to control your emotions, direct your energy toward healing and moving forward in a healthy, positive way. 13. Avoid personalizing their behavior. One of the key teachings of Stoicism is the idea of not taking things personally. Toxic people often act out of their own insecurities, fears, or unresolved issues, but their behavior says more about them than it does about you. By recognizing that their actions are a reflection of their inner struggles, not your worth, you can detach emotionally and avoid internalizing their negativity. Why it's important. When you personalize the behavior of toxic people, it can cause unnecessary emotional pain and self-doubt. This can lead you to believe that their insults, criticism, or manipulations are valid, when in fact, they're often just projections of their own unresolved issues. By not taking their behavior personally, you protect your self-esteem and maintain your inner peace. Actionable steps. Remember it's about them, not you. When a toxic person lashes out or behaves poorly, remind yourself that their actions are a reflection of their own emotional state, not your value. Reframe negative comments. If you encounter criticism or insults, try to reframe them by asking, what might this person be going through to act this way? Guard your self-worth. Keep your sense of self grounded in your own values and principles, not in the fluctuating opinions of others. By avoiding personalizing toxic behavior, you free yourself from unnecessary emotional distress and can maintain your peace in difficult interactions. 14. Focus on virtue and living by your principles. For Stoics, living a virtuous life is the highest goal. When dealing with toxic people, focusing on your own virtue, your integrity, wisdom, and self-discipline helps you remain unaffected by their negativity. Instead of reacting to their toxicity, you can choose to rise above it by staying true to your own values and principles. Why it's important. Toxic individuals often try to pull you into their world of negativity, conflict, and drama. By keeping your focus on your own virtuous actions and principles, you prevent yourself from being dragged into the chaos. Stoics believe that by living according to virtue, you can maintain peace and control, no matter what happens around you. Actionable steps. Define your values. Clearly outline the virtues that are important to you, honesty, kindness, patience, etc., and keep them at the forefront of your mind when interacting with others. Respond with integrity. In any interaction with a toxic person, choose to act in alignment with your values, rather than reacting emotionally. Let your actions speak. Instead of getting caught in a conflict or argument, let your virtuous actions show who you are, unaffected by the toxic behavior of others. By focusing on your own virtues and living according to your principles, you avoid being drawn into negativity and stay centered in your own strength. 15. Accept the impermanence of situations. The Stoics frequently emphasized the transient nature of life and circumstances. When dealing with toxic people, it's important to remember that the situation is temporary. No matter how difficult it may feel in the moment, everything in life is in constant flux. Recognizing this impermanence helps you detach from the emotional grip of toxic interactions, knowing that this too shall pass. Why it's important. Toxic situations and people can often feel overwhelming, especially if you are stuck in a cycle of negativity. However, by acknowledging that these challenges are not permanent, you reduce the emotional weight they carry. This Stoic mindset helps you view difficult situations with perspective and resilience, knowing that nothing, including toxicity, lasts forever. Actionable steps. Remind yourself of impermanence. When facing toxicity, remind yourself that the situation will pass. This can help you reduce emotional attachment to it. Focus on the present moment. Instead of dwelling on the past or worrying about future interactions, focus on maintaining your composure in the present. Shift your perspective. Use the impermanence of life to stay grounded. No toxic situation, no matter how difficult, will last forever. Dealing with toxic people can often feel overwhelming and draining, but the wisdom of Stoic philosophy offers a powerful approach to maintaining our peace and emotional well-being. Stoicism teaches us that while we cannot control the actions or behaviors of others, we have full control over how we respond to them. Toxic individuals may try to provoke or manipulate us, but by practicing Stoic principles, we can rise above their negativity and protect our own mental and emotional health. First and foremost, we must focus on cultivating inner peace. By reflecting on our values and grounding ourselves in our own sense of self-worth, we stop relying on external validation. This detachment from the need for approval makes us less vulnerable to the manipulations of toxic people. Additionally, by choosing our battles wisely, we can conserve our energy for what truly matters, avoiding the trap of petty conflicts that drain our resources. Another critical Stoic principle is forgiveness. Holding on to grudges only harms our own peace of mind and keeps us tied to the toxic energy of others. Forgiving is not about excusing bad behavior. It's about freeing ourselves from resentment and choosing to move forward with grace and clarity. This mindset allows us to face toxic individuals without letting their negativity affect our mood or our actions. Self-reflection is another vital tool. By regularly assessing our own behavior and responses, we can better understand how we engage with toxic people and ensure that we don't contribute to the cycle of negativity. Focusing on personal growth also allows us to turn challenges with toxic individuals into opportunities for strengthening our resilience and character. The more we work on improving ourselves, the less impact toxic people have on us. The Stoics also emphasize the importance of not taking things personally. Toxic people often project their own issues onto others, but their behavior says more about them than it does about us. By accepting that their actions are not a reflection of our worth, we can detach emotionally and avoid internalizing their negativity. This helps us maintain a healthy perspective and prevents toxic people from defining our emotions or self-worth. Lastly, embracing the impermanence of situations helps us navigate toxic relationships with a sense of detachment. Toxic behaviors, no matter how difficult they may seem in the moment, are temporary. By remembering that everything in life is fleeting, we reduce the emotional weight of toxic interactions and keep our focus on what truly matters in the long run. In conclusion, by applying Stoic practices like inner peace, forgiveness, self-reflection, and acceptance of impermanence, we gain the tools to handle toxic people with wisdom, resilience, and grace. We cannot control the behavior of others, but we have the power to control our own responses. In doing so, we protect our peace and transform adversity into opportunities for growth. Stoicism reminds us that true strength lies not in changing the world around us, but in mastering our own reactions and maintaining our tranquility amidst life's challenges.